y'all, Toni Braxton and Birdman secretly tied the knot.
Let's go.
8 months ago. And then they almost got divorced 2 days later.
Y'all remember when news first broke that Toni Braxton and Birdman secretly got married? Yeah, it wasn't a flashy wedding like you would expect from two legends. It was low-key. Barely anybody knew until after it was already done. But here's the thing, just 2 weeks later, Toni went and filed for divorce. Now, why would somebody file for divorce 2 weeks after saying I do? That's not a rough patch. That's a whole disaster. And at the time, they tried to play it cool. But guys, the real story was way worse than anybody thought. Allegedly, Birdman did something so crazy it had everybody around Toni side-eyeing him from the jump. And when I tell you what happened at that wedding, girl, you're gonna be looking at Birdman like he belongs on a do not date list. See, Toni wasn't just dealing with cold feet or some prenup drama. She was left standing there in her wedding dress, waiting and waiting for Birdman to show up. Hours passed, people were whispering, looking around, and she was trying to hold it together. Meanwhile, Birdman is out here moving like it's a regular Tuesday and he is late to brunch. When he finally did show up, he didn't even have the decency to be fully present. He looked a mess, gave Toni barely a moment of attention, and then had the nerve to tell her he had to take care of something real quick right after marrying her.
Toni Braxton recently posted a picture on her Instagram of her and Birdman saying, "Sending Sunday kisses. Weren't sure that they were still together, but I see they're still going strong."
Now listen, let's get into it, because this secret marriage between Toni Braxton and Birdman wasn't supposed to see the light of day. They tried to keep it locked up tighter than Fort Knox. No big announcements, no red carpet wedding photos, no huge People magazine cover, nothing. Now, when people first heard that they tied the knot, everybody was confused. Toni Braxton, the queen of classy heartbreak songs, marrying Birdman, the CEO of Cash Money Records, Mr. Resbeck on my name himself? It just didn't add up, but love is love, right? Or so we thought. The crazy part is, right after they said I do, it wasn't even a full month before things hit the fan. 2 weeks after getting married, Toni filed for divorce. Now, I don't know about you, but if you can't even make it to the 1 month mark, that's not just a little argument about who left dishes in the sink. That's deeper. That's something you file paperwork over, baby. Now, they tried to backtrack and save face after the story broke. They wanted to work it out and give love another chance. And we, being nosy, were like, okay, maybe they just had cold feet. Maybe they realized marriage is hard, but we gave them too much grace. Now, at the time, we were like, oh, that's Hollywood love for you. But guys, when I tell you why that divorce popped off so quick, you gonna clutch your pearls, okay? Now, let's rewind to the actual day of the wedding. This is where the real disrespect went down. Picture it. Toni Braxton, hair laid, makeup flawless, standing in her designer Vera Wang gown, everything set up, flowers everywhere, guests waiting, everybody expecting this beautiful moment. And Birdman was nowhere to be found. Toni waited hours, standing around looking beautiful but heartbroken, wondering where her man was. People at the venue were confused, whispering, trying not to panic Toni, but they knew something wasn't right. There wasn't any traffic delay, this wasn't him forgetting his cufflinks, this was disrespectful. When Birdman finally decided to show up, he looked like he had just rolled out of somebody's tour bus. He showed up looking stressed, disheveled, and from what insiders said, like he wasn't even mentally present. And then the real gag, instead of making it all about Toni like he should have on their big day, Birdman mumbled some nonsense about needing to handle something real quick. Mind you, he said this after finally getting there hours late. No apology, no explanation, just brushing it off like he was running to the gas station real quick.
So Toni Braxton and Birdman were secretly married back in August of 2024, right? But 2 weeks after getting married, Toni Braxton filed for divorce from Birdman. She removed her divorce filing about 4 months later in January of 2025, and they're still together today. But rumor has it Kamora Lee Simmons was texting Birdman on their actual wedding day, telling him to leave the wedding and come be with her. Now, I didn't have no idea that they had any dealings or with each other in the past, but that is the rumor that's going around now. A lot of people are commenting on the post saying that they're both trying to secure that bag. Like, they're not worried about getting married. They're worried about keeping up the lifestyle that they have. We know Birdman is filthy rich from my post that I made yesterday. And after once dealing with somebody like Russell Simmons and how rich he was, she needs a certain lifestyle. So what do y'all think about that? Did y'all know anything about Birdman dealing with Kamora Lee Simmons in the past? Somebody says that Birdman's got all the OG baddies now, and you know he doing it for Miss Gladys.
Now this is where it gets really ugly. While Toni was standing there on her wedding day, bouquet in hand, heart full of hope, guess who was still lurking in the background? Kamora Lee Simmons. See, Birdman and Kimora go way back, and I mean way back. Their connection wasn't just a random fling either. They had history, deep history. And the crazy part is, Birdman was never shy about it. In fact, back in 2014, Birdman hopped on Instagram in front of the whole world and called Kimora the love of his life, not a friend. Not a cool ex, the love of his life. Now keep in mind, 2014 wasn't 100 years ago. This was still very much in the time frame when Toni and Birdman were circling each other, starting their little situationship. So from the jump, it was already messy. And it gets even worse. Word on the street was that Birdman and Kimora were still dealing with each other even when Kimora was married to Russell Simmons. Yep, while she was out here living that fashion mogul life, playing happy family in public, behind closed doors, it was a whole different story. People close to them said Birdman never really got over Kimora. No matter who she was with, no matter how many business empires she was building, he would pop up, call her, send gifts, book private trips. That man was holding on like a bad credit score, okay? So when he disappeared on Toni during the wedding, insiders were quick to put 2 and 2 together. Birdman wasn't handling business, he was handling Kimora. It was like Toni was the main event on paper, but Kimora was still backstage pulling all the strings. So while Toni is standing there, a bouquet in hand, Birdman was out here booking private jets like it's DoorDash for Kimora. But listen, let's get into the real dirty details because this love triangle was messier than a Waffle House at 3 a.m.
Do you think a lot of babies have been born to your music? I hear that all the time, but I don't get it because my songs are sad love songs. They sad, you know, I don't understand.
Now let's be real, we gotta talk about the money, cause money was a big part of why all these messy ties kept going. Birdman isn't just some flashy rapper. Behind all the tattoos and grills, that man is sitting on an empire. Cash Money Records wasn't just a label, it was a goldmine. Drake, Nicki Minaj, Lil Wayne, all of them were under his umbrella at some point. And even though lawsuits were flying back and forth, Birdman was still stacking checks. When Lil Wayne sued Birdman for around $50 million, 0 cents, people thought it was gonna break him. And with that much money, you can move a lot of things around behind closed doors. Toni Braxton wasn't exactly in a position to walk away from a man offering luxury, security, and access. Same with Kimora. Even though Kimora had businesses, fashion lines, and her own public image, those private jets, the unlimited Amex swipes, the gifts, the trips, that Birdman money was real. It was heavy, and it made walking away a little harder, even if the love wasn't all the way there. So when people wonder why Toni stayed after getting left at the altar and why Kimora never fully let Birdman go, you gotta look at the bigger picture. It wasn't just heartstrings being pulled, it was purse strings too. Now listen, all money ain't good money, but when it comes with private jets and unlimited Amex swipes, a lot of people will turn a blind eye, okay? But guys, the gag is, Kimora might have been playing Birdman the whole time too.
I'm accepting an award for Naomi. It's the inaugural award for Jackie Avant. I'm close to the Avant. You know, I've been friends with Alex and Nicole since I was little. So I'm just so proud of everybody.
Now, Kimora wasn't just juggling Birdman. She had a whole second life going on. Yup, while keeping things hot and heavy with Birdman, she secretly married Tim Leisner. And guess what? Tim's life wasn't just rich. It was shady too. Turns out Tim's whole career would eventually blow up when it was revealed he was a major fraudster. But at the time, he was the one with the real billionaire status. Now, here's the real kicker. Even while she was married to Tim, Kimora allegedly kept Birdman right there, paying her bills and funding her lavish lifestyle. She was out here trying to play both sides like an expert, staying in elite circles with Tim, but still getting those Birkin bags and private jet trips from Birdman on the side. Kimora was basically living 2 lives, and she made sure she was winning in both. Tim brought the status, but Birdman brought the fun. And she was doing what she had to do to keep both worlds spinning. So basically, Kimora said, "I'ma sip champagne in Monaco with my husband and keep Birdman on speed dial for the Birkin bags." The level of finesse is honestly historic. Now, this is where the story gets real juicy. You know how we always hear about blind items in the gossip world? Well, there was this blind item that dropped, and it basically blew the whole lid off this situation. The item mentioned a bride, a jet, and the billionaire's bills. And guys, when I tell you, every single clue fits perfectly with Birdman, Kamora, and Toni. Let me break it down for you. Birdman and Kamora were the jet crew living that private plane lifestyle. Toni, she's the bride part of this story, standing at the altar thinking she's about to have the Hollywood fairy tale wedding, but it's all a facade. And then let's talk about the billionaire's bills. That's where Tim Leisner comes in. It all pieced together like a puzzle. Birdman's money, Kamora's private life, and Toni's public heartbreak, all of it spilled into the next generation. This wasn't just a love triangle. This was a full-on game of who's really got the power. Birdman commented saying, "Toni deserved so much better. She's been through enough in life already without Birdman adding more drama to her plate." Another one added, "Birdman has been chasing Kimora like a lovesick puppy for years. Toni was just caught in the crossfire." Honestly, in this entire mess, I don't think anybody walks away clean. Birdman wasn't just playing Toni, he was playing himself. Kimora was running her own game, and Toni, well, she had her own reasons for sticking around, whether she was looking for love, money, or both. Listen, in this game of love and hip-hop, nobody walks away clean. Not Toni, not Kimora, and definitely not Birdman. But let me know what y'all think in the comments, because this was a mess. Well, that's all for today. See you in the next video.